It's been said that better questions lead us naturally to better answers, and that it's in not knowing that we open the doorway to knowing. I'm Scott Lennox, and you're listening to The Beautiful Question, a consideration of things that truly matter in a complex world. When things seem out of balance, where is true balance to be found? And if it's not readily obvious and doesn't seem available, what things can we do to create the balance we need? Join me this week as we look at balance through the eyes of a 10-year-old. This week's consideration was inspired by a brief but remarkable conversation with my prodigious 10-year-old niece, Tegan. Every other Sunday, she joins me in my studio where I'm teaching her to draw and paint. On the alternate Sundays, I give classical cooking lessons to her older brother Ashton, who aspires to be a chef. Judging from his attitude and the speed with which he learns everything, including cooking, he'll be a good one if that's what he decides to do. Their innate abilities continue to surprise and sometimes startle me, and the two of them are proving to be more than apt students. I suspect, though, I may be learning far more from our time together than they are. Time will tell. This past weekend, I gave Tegan an exercise in which she was to mix watercolor pigments to match the colors of a dozen different objects as closely as she could. The objects ranged from flower petals to a light brown ceramic egg, to pieces of colored chalk, to an orange, to a small violet blown glass heart. With her trusty book of Harry Potter spells and the wand her mother made her beside her on the table, she quickly set herself to the task, spontaneously following an inner knowing. I'm amazed at what's built into her. In the spirit of her book and the wand, I pulled up a Harry Potter soundtrack on the web and played it on my laptop as background music while she painted. Happily listening to it, she stopped now and then to make comments about what she knew of the movie and its themes. She told me about some of the characters and the action and conflicts that involved them. And as I listened, it occurred to me to ask her a ponderous question. The wisdom of her answer stunned me. I asked, "Tegan, why do you think there's evil in the world? Couldn't everything have been created to be perfect?" "But Uncle Scott," she said, not skipping a beat, "if everything was perfect, we wouldn't know what good is. We need the bad things for balance, the way light and dark balance each other." "How old are you?" I asked, already knowing the answer. 10, she said, smiling, and then went back to what she was doing. Later, when her mother came to pick her up, I told her about our conversation, and she acknowledged that she is just as constantly amazed at Tegan as I am. I remarked that when I was 10, the notion of bad things balancing the good had not yet entered my awareness. That evening, I thought about how profoundly being 10 has changed in the 6 decades since I experienced it. The world has become significantly different, and apparently, so are the children who are living in it. One thing I acknowledged to Tegan after her comment was that I'm sure that if I hadn't experienced the struggles and the challenges I've endured, I wouldn't be as understanding, as compassionate, or as present as I am. And I wouldn't feel each moment and each person I encounter to be as precious and irreplaceable as I know them to be. Experiencing war and loss and disease and the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to quote William Shakespeare, have collectively changed me for the better. Though I wouldn't want to go through those things again, I know how fundamentally different I am for having lived what I've lived. My experience is consistent with so many others who have decided to live well on this side of the darkness they've endured. Like me, the change didn't come automatically for many of them, but was based on well-considered choices to draw meaning from what has happened and to live more intentionally and with greater balance. Just now I'm thinking of the way my surgeon told me in the recovery room that living with a good attitude had just become essential, life-saving, and non-negotiable. I'm also thinking of my mentor, the late Dr. Albert Goggins, who told me that going through cancer was going to make me a better person. Admittedly, It took me quite a while to see the truth of what he had said. But at a certain point, it dawned on me that a dynamic balance had been set into motion as I accepted life as it is and began to move with it instead of resisting or denying it. And so with all of that in mind, here's the heart of this week's consideration in the form of 5 beautiful questions. 1. Accepting that Tegan is correct, that what we struggle with has the capacity to balance our lives and cause us to more openly appreciate what is good. In what ways is that kind of balance taking place or establishing itself in your life right now? How is balance happening in your life right now? 2. Just as shadows help define what we see, how might you reframe the unavoidable pain or suffering you've experienced as the instruments that help you comprehend and define what is good in your life? 3. Knowing that there is good and bad in each of us, in what real ways can you lean into what is good and learn from what has taxed or hurt you? 4. Aware that meaning can be assigned, if not found, in even the worst of circumstances, what inner balance can you build from the raw material of your life by creating a shift in your perspective? And finally, since balance is always a moving thing and not a static one, what might you do today to create greater balance by moving more fluidly with what is happening in your life? As always, as you sit in stillness with these questions and the answers that naturally and authentically arise in you, I'd love to hear about it. As I say each week, my light with your light. Thank you again for listening. I continue to be inspired by our collaboration as we work and play together, building better lives and better possibilities for ourselves, for one another, for the world, and for our beautiful planet home. I look forward to your comments and to your feedback. You can also be inspired by visiting my good friends at Cosmos Journal. That's KOSMOS Journal. Their mission is to inform, inspire, and engage global transformation in harmony with all life. You can easily find them online at cosmosjournal.org. And as always, you can find my free podcasts and guided relaxation audios by searching for The Beautiful Question in Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud or CastBox, or by visiting the podcast page of my website at scottlennox.com. If you find them useful or encouraging, don't hesitate to share them. I'm Scott Lennox, and this has been The Beautiful Question. The Beautiful Question is a One Light production, written, recorded, produced, and funded by Scott Lennox at Heart Rock Studios in Fort Worth, Texas, as a way of paying forward to life, being fully present, becoming better engaged with things that truly matter in a complex world, and committing to a healthier future for all of us.